Hi, my name's Jeremy Gilly. I'm the founder of Peace One Day, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome everybody here for the Domestic Violence Live Global Hangout. We formed a coalition of domestic violence organisations over a year ago now, and there have been incredible results. I'm delighted that Baroness Scotland, who is a leading partner in that, is here with me today. Peace Day, it's not just about guns. It's not just about ceasefire. It's about the violence in our homes, the communities and schools. And of course, actually, that's the greatest war that humanity faces. And that's why each and every individual around the world can play a part in this process. Bringing your family and your friends together is making peace. And we're seeing huge behavioural change happen on this day, a major decrease in violence across our communities, homes and schools. So having a domestic violence coalition is a massive honour for Peace One Day. It's incredibly important for the day. So let's hear now from our panellists who will introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about them and their organisation. So great pleasure to ask Baroness Scotland to be the first to introduce yourself.
I'm Patricia Scotland. I'm the founder of the Global Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and with Jeremy we came together to make a difference. We believe that globally we can change the way in which people live, and the violence in our homes can be changed too. We can do it, and we're here to make it happen.
Thank you very much.
I'm Melissa Morbeck, and I am the Executive Director of the Corporate Alliance Against Domestic Violence, and we work with businesses and people who endure inside business and make sure that businesses are aware of the opportunities they have to create peace for their employees.
I'm Marja Ruotanen from the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, intergovernmental organization, and we are working as one of our priorities in reduction violence against women and violence in general, domestic as well.
My name is Monique Coleman. I was the first ever United Nations Youth Champion, which is when I had the opportunity to meet Jeremy, and I have an organization called Gimme Mo, which inspires empowering conversation specifically for young people about the major issues that they face, and violence being one of them. That's why it's a very important topic for us.
My name is Dariusz Grzemny. I'm from Poland, but I'm a part of the European campaign, which is No Hate Speech movement. It's a Council of Europe campaign, which is actually working with the issue of hate speech. So acting against hate speech, not only in the real world, real means internet for us, but also means the reality that we live in together.
My name's Laura Bates. I'm the founder of the Everyday Sexism Project. It's an ever-increasing collection of over 50,000 people's experiences of gender imbalance and shows the power that voices can have when they come and speak together.
Hi, I'm Madi Sharma. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. It makes a huge change. Madi now represents Make a Difference ideas, and we have organisations and centres which support survivors of domestic violence because it's one area where you feel you are very much on your own.
Great, thank you very much. It's incredible, isn't it, just to have the opportunity for us all to be together. It's very moving for me and very exciting, that this domestic violence issue is such a centre of Peace Day, and you guys have obviously made that happen, and it's really beautiful, because if you are a sufferer, or if somebody is hurting you or speaking to you in a way that you shouldn't be, to think that we could reduce that together by working together is obviously an incredibly profound thing. So thank you to everyone for that. So let's go to the first question. What does peace mean to you, and what opportunities does it create for you and your organisation?
Well, firstly, the Global Foundation was created because 1 in 3 women across the world suffer from domestic violence. It's the greatest cause for morbidity in women and people. So we really think that we can make a difference. In the UK, we reduced domestic violence by 64%. And we reduced the cost of domestic violence by 7 billion. Now just imagine if we could do that in every single country across the globe, we would save so many lives. And that's why I think the coalition that we created, Jeremy, is vital. It's vital not just for us, but it's vital for every single person in our world. And I know that by raising this issue, coming together, talking about it, we're blasting some of those taboos and saying to people, it's okay. And there are people here who walk with you. So I think this is the most important coalition in the whole world. And we will make this difference if we stand together.
Fantastic, thank you.
For the Corporate Alliance Against Domestic Violence, what has been interesting is, again, working in coalition with the Global Coalition and with our partners, EDV, and many of the people at the table. We are able to work with our employers. In the UK, 75% of people who endure violence are targeted at work. And we need avenues for those employees, for our employers, to have a way to create peace for their employees. You see a decrease in productivity and absenteeism. We need avenues of help. And what we do is work in strategic partnership with them. And it is by having the very keen stakeholders in the room that makes peace happen for us. And we have many global partners and many global companies that work throughout the world. And we want to be working together on this.
Fantastic, thank you.
Well, as we already heard from Patron in Scotland, far too many women suffer from violence. And far too many women pay the ultimate price with their silence, with their life. And for Council of Europe, the Peace One Day is a day of action. And we want to really promote, we want to give the voice to the victims who suffer in silence. We want to make sure that the member states and all of us, actually, we go for zero tolerance against violence. There is no violence allowed any place, at schools, in the office, on the street. And we also want to bring attention to the Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence and Domestic Violence. It's not just a piece of paper. It's actually a very practical tool which gives a list of measures that can provide protection and prevention for the victim, and also different policies that member states can take. So it's not just a piece of paper that governments have to abide to, but it has a list of practical measures that can be taken.
For our organization, I think that Peace Day is really an opportunity for young people to become inspired and to realize that if they stand in solidarity against violence, against women, against young people, that they really do have the power to make a big change. And also, I think it's really important for young people to identify what violence actually is. I think a lot of times they are not really aware that they are even experiencing violence in their own homes or in their schools or even towards themselves. And so I think that the one thing that's really important for Gimme Mo is that it's an opportunity to raise awareness and also to raise some questions.
Yeah, one of the objectives of the No Hate Speech movement is to mobilize people, that young people are coming together. Sometimes it is difficult to bring people in the offline space, but what we are trying to do, we are bringing young people in the online space, where they are spending most of their time, so they can come together and take action and reaction as well, because the No Hate Speech movement is about action and reaction. It's reacting against hate speech that is coming online, and actually today we have, like every 2 months, we have a European Action Day that we organize online. And today our action day is Peace One Day. So we actually have our young people coming together and raising awareness about the issue of hate speech online, and also acting on different level. One of them is even political level, because one of the ideas that came about is to create the 22nd of July to be a European global World Day commemorating the victims of hate crimes, where a lot of women are actually the target. So this is what we do, and this is what it means for us.
Thank you. I think for us, Peace Day is an opportunity to appeal for a redoubling of our efforts on this issue. We know that for women aged 15 to 44, they are more at risk from rape and domestic violence than from car accidents, cancer, war and malaria. And it's very easy to look at a problem that great and feel powerless. But there are so many practical tools we can use. In the Council of Europe's Istanbul Convention, there are practical tips for governments to work with media on raising awareness of violence against women, but also ideas like working with schools. We know in the UK that 1 in 2 boys and 1 in 3 girls thinks it's sometimes acceptable to hit a woman or force her to have sex, and yet there's nothing on our curriculum at the moment where it's compulsory to teach about domestic violence and healthy relationships. So a re-galvanising of our efforts, really.
Jeremy, I can't share with you what it's like to be a victim. It's horrible. And for all those victims out there, we can't share what's happening to us with anybody. Not with our friends, not with our family, not with our employers. And when you receive domestic violence, it's not the obvious hit in the eye. It's often psychological first before the actual violence really starts. There's no way I could ever have imagined that we would be having an international peace day to raise the issue of domestic violence. I'm not alone, and neither are those victims out there, because you're all trying to do something to help us, and that's what Peace Day means to me.
Well, thank you, Madi. Yeah, no. I mean, it's a very serious issue, and it's just beautiful, isn't it? That activity is happening all over the world today. 600 million people, over 600 million people will be aware today of this day, and we know from the McKinsey data that around 4% of that figure will be behavioural change. So, people will change their behaviour because they're so focused on peace that they're thinking very differently about the situation. And Madi, the obviously suffering that you went through and others have been through, to think that because of all of this, that congregation of people that you talk about, somebody might not go through that today, is obviously incredibly moving, and makes us all work very hard together, and it's beautiful to think that that's happening today. So the second question to ask is that the ultimate goal of Peace Day is that the ultimate goal of Peace Day is that all human beings around the world stand together as one in the name of peace on that day. You spoke about those benefits earlier, but what are the benefits of a united world around the issues of non-violence? What would it mean, Baroness Scotland, to see us come together in a way that humanity's never known around the issues of peace?
I think it will mean that more people will be alive tomorrow than are today. I mean, I think we've got to be really clear. Raising this issue means that we will save lives. Not that we might, but we will. Because people have conversations. Madi talked about how alone victims are. Many victims are made to feel that this is only happening to them and it is all their fault and no one will ever help them. So just saying to somebody, how are you, looking at them and hanging around and waiting to have the answer can literally change someone's life and save it. So I think today is about saving people's lives. In the United Kingdom, we did that. We cut domestic violence by 64%. That means that there are more women, children and men alive today than would have been alive had we not done that. Just imagine if we can replicate that around the world. In 2004, 49 women died in London. By the time I left government in 2010, we had reduced that to 5. But it's not just those women's lives. 2/3 of the women who die have children, and those children are male and female. We need to have a better understanding of what a good man looks like and what a good woman is, and it'll take all of us, men, great men like Jeremy, and women working together. I have 7 brothers and a fantastic father. I grew up believing that all men were fantastic, that they were wonderful, they were charming. I was shocked when I realised that's not the experience that every woman has in the world. It should be. So I want all those fantastic men to get on their chargers, go and rescue those damsels and other men in distress, because we need to bring this to an end, and we can do it.
What we've noticed about Peace Day and what it means is, again, as we've been talking about, it is the creating of awareness, and it's giving opportunity for employers who feel completely powerless, that they feel that this is a personal issue, that this doesn't happen in my workplace, and giving them an opportunity to say, wait a minute, when an employee comes to work, it's not just a hand, it's a whole person. And so the employee might have issues of daycare or someone's died, but guess what? A lot of women endure domestic violence, and they need a safe place where they can have conversations, and they need to have conversations with people who know how to respond. The International Day means that our employers, like British Airways, are having a raffle for Peace Day, which means they talk about it in their workplace. That means that BP is having an International Peace Day. And that means that they're creating difference and change so that then other employees can come forward. We find from these days what happens is that self-disclosures will increase. People will see Madi, and it will make a difference. They will hear about no hate. They will hear about the Istanbul Convention. They will hear this global coalition and know someone cares, and it's the practical tools that employers can give. Peace Day is where we can come together and continue that message very loud and clear.
Well, this year's theme of the Peace One Day is who will you make peace with? And I think it's a brilliant reminder for all of us to think that everything we do, say, including on internet, on Facebook, can really have an effect on everybody's life. It can have an effect on your colleague, your neighbor, your teammate, your classmate, and I think we really have to all show that we take action to radiate this peaceful atmosphere around us.
I also think that Peace Day is an opportunity to understand some of the issues that bring about non-peace or conflict. And so it's an opportunity to really talk about economic insecurity. It's a chance for us to really also realize that while we are here fighting for peace, that ultimately our environment is in a very difficult place. And so if we can help people to understand that we shouldn't be violent in our homes or in our schools or in our communities or in our world, then we can all come together to work on some of the other issues that are really pressing that might actually take our planet from us. And I think that that's something that's really important for young people to recognize as well.
I think that, the whole world coming together for peace, I think it's a dream for all of us. That's why we're here as well. And I think that, that some dreams are coming true, actually. And this dream is coming true slowly. So one day, I hope it will, if we are going to come together and talk to each other. And I think that if you look, especially in the online space where we work mainly, and the number of young people who got involved in the campaign, coming from totally different social groups, totally different minorities, and they talk to each other. They talk to each other because they simply do not agree to be a target of hate, for whatever reason. So I think that this is something that unites people, that we want to take care of the others, but we want to take care of ourselves as well, our own safety. And if we have other people who are able to help us, it's even better.
I think this idea of standing together is just absolutely vital. Domestic violence, violence against women are just far too big problems for any government or agency to solve alone. And if the Everyday Sexism Project entries have shown anything, it's that misogyny and violence against women are a spectrum, and it's all connected. And the same ideas and attitudes that underlie issues like sexual harassment and objectification of women are the same ideas that then enable those more extreme cases like domestic violence and rape to occur. So it's just so important for us to stand together and realise that as bystanders, as those who aren't necessarily committing violence ourselves, we still have a huge part to play in changing the underlying cultural shift that's needed to end those more extreme forms of misogyny.
I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are about action, they're not about words. Politicians, sadly, are about words, and we're not making very much political progress. And so it's great when Peace One Day actually make the action and we actually start to move forward, share with the world everything that's going on. But I have to congratulate you, because getting men around the table, getting men into the debate that this is not just a woman's issue. Domestic violence is not a domestic issue. It's a social issue. We need to deal with it because it's also having an economic impact, and therefore everybody is suffering. So we can't thank you enough.
Yes, it's a massive collective effort, isn't it, of amazing people. I mean, the show that everyone will see later, and everything that's happened over the world. The 19 countries that we've been live to. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? That kind of collective spirit, and obviously the audience has included that. You're watching, you're a part of it, you're indeed making this a success, and. Yes, it's a wonderful thing, Madi. And in fact, we're going to go the other way round now. So for the final question, you're going to start, Madi. The last question is very interesting. I mean, given that the success of Peace Day comes from individuals making a decision to make peace, the theme, as you mentioned, is who will you make peace with? I mean, Madi, is there any? I mean, when you get asked the question, who will you make peace with? What would be your answer? What would be your answer to that?
I want to talk, first of all, to the victims out there. I had to make peace with myself before I could make peace with anybody else. And until I accepted that it wasn't my fault, I wasn't the one to blame, I couldn't move on. And I made peace with myself. And Gandhi says, you must be the change you want to see. Well, Madi says, you must be the change you want to see, no excuses. And now I have no excuse at all for not helping others. So by making peace with myself, it has allowed me to hopefully help other people. That's my answer.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much.
I would like to make peace with the men around the world who send me emails and messages every day saying that they'd like to rape me and kill me, and how those things should be carried out in very great detail, because I think that those messages come from thinking that talking about sexism means talking against men, or that this is a women versus men issue. And it's not. It's a people versus prejudice issue. It hurts everybody. That kind of machismo hurts the male victims of domestic violence and sexism who are unable to come forward because it creates a stereotype that they don't suffer those kinds of issues. So I'd like to just reach out to those people and make a plea that we all stand together against this. This is a universal, global, human issue.
Yeah, I very much agree that if you want to make peace, you have to have peace with yourself. And I think, yes, this is what I would like to do. This is what I would like to make peace with myself first. Today in the morning when I put on the Facebook that I'm going to Hague and I'm going to be here, I got a message from a friend of mine from Budapest who knows that I'm going there. And she just asked me, will you make peace with me? So yes, I will make peace with you. For sure, but I would like to make peace also with these people who keep telling me, not only me, but also us, people in the No Hate Speech movement, why we are doing this. We are not going to get rid of hate speech online. This is not possible. It is possible, but what we want to do, we want to limit the acceptance of hate speech online. And I think that this is the very important part that we are working for. So I would like to make peace also with all the people who are watching us, all the people who are today in the No Hate Speech movement online, actually taking action and spreading the message, showing solidarity, and taking care of the targets of hate speech.
I'm feeling very moved right now, so you have to forgive me. I also would like to make peace with myself. I'm so mean to myself. I'm not mean to anyone else, and my family could attest for that, but I'm very mean to myself, and I would really like to make peace with myself. And also I would like to make peace with everyone around the world who inflicts violence against women and children, and just say that I love you. From the bottom of my heart, I have so much compassion, and if I could hug you, I would hug you, because you probably need a hug more than anyone. And so if there's anyone out there that has been a bully or that has ever inflicted violence on another person, I want you to know that you are loved, and that God loves you, and that we love you, and that if you can have a love for yourself, that there will not be a need to inflict pain or hurt on anyone else. So for every person who's out there that's hurting, I make peace with you, and I want you to know that you are loved deeply.
Perhaps just to follow up on that, I think we really have to talk about violence. It's not a private matter. What happens behind the doors at home, it's really not, it's a public issue, whether it's violence against women, children, and same thing what happens at school. Bullying is something that teachers, everybody else have to take stand on. So we want to make this a public issue. I mean, physical violence is something that we see, scars are left, but there are so many other types of violence that happens, harassment against women, children, men. And I think also what Derek said, there is violence online, hate speech. And the scars that is left by this type of violence are just as bad and take much long time to heal than physical violence.
I'm so moved by so much of what I've heard, and I want to make peace with the businesses that feel that it doesn't impact them and that this doesn't happen to their employees' lives. But I also feel it's important to say that as a person who's endured and as a survivor, it was really important for me to love myself and to see that what I did mattered and valued, and my business and all the people in my life walked with me, and that it was a peaceful transition and journey. I had to make peace with myself As Madi said, I had to make peace with what had happened in the past and realize it's not my fault. And there's still times now where that's really difficult. But I know, because of all of the men and women here and the work that's being done, Jeremy, for Peace Day, it means that I can forgive myself just a little bit more and bring people to the table.
I think I'd like to make peace with all those people who told us we couldn't do this. We couldn't bring peace, we couldn't change, and that nothing was possible, and that we had to accept that the world was always going to be like this. So I'd like to make peace with them and to say that you too can be part of the change that we want to see in the world, as Gandhi had said, and we can make this happen. I'd like to make peace with all the men who need the healing to make a change, but I also want to make peace for all the male victims who are silent because they're too scared to say, this happened to me too. This isn't just a female issue, as Madi says, it's an issue that affects men, women and their children. So I'd like to make peace with every person who's looking at this saying this really isn't important. We make peace with you. And I'd say too, as others, God bless and keep you.
Okay. Well, yes. I mean, you know, in terms of making peace with something, often you sort of think, well, there isn't anybody that I can make peace with, and I think it's really wonderful when you talk about making peace with yourself, and you know, that's a wonderful thing to do. And I sort of kind of want to say that if there is anybody that I don't know, in some way hurt or you know, wasn't kind to, that obviously I'd like to say sorry for anything that I might have done that's hurt anybody or upset anybody, and yeah, make a real commitment to work hard with my family and hard for Peace Day is really is what I want to do, and we'll keep on doing, won't we? We've got a couple more minutes. If there's anybody that would like to say anything, if there's a burning thought that you're thinking of you'd like to say, or if there's maybe you know, Baroness Scotland, is there something that you want to say to the people that are watching? In terms of them being part of the coalition or organisations, or what is it that we need people to do?
I think the coalition last year, as Jeremy's already said, reached over 280 million people. The target for this year, of course, is 600 million. But I'd like us to push it and say, why don't we go for 1 billion? Can you imagine what would happen if we actually reached 1 billion people in our world? And if the next year, each of those people reached another billion? Peace is going to happen, but it is only going to happen if we make it, and I think we can. So that's what I'd like to say. Please, everybody looking, please join our coalition and start to be the change you want to see in this world.
Thank you. I mean, and also, of course, for anybody watching, if you go to the Peace One Day website, you can find out information about the Domestic Violence Coalition, and there'll be organisations that are in your area where you'll be able to visit their websites and find out information or helplines or whatever you might be looking for. So please, you know, do you know, check that out. We're sort of, you know, up for time now. It's been the most extraordinary thing, and I think, as Baroness Scotland said, yes, it was 280 million people aware last year. It will be over 600 million people aware this year, and for sure the target will be over 1 billion people aware in 2014, and we know there'll be about a 4% decrease of violence in relation to that number. So there's obviously millions of lives being affected, but it's only a success because of you. You know, please find out further information. Keep watching. There's still time to tell your friends to watch as well. But you know, thank you very much for attending this incredible discussion, and we'll just keep rolling all day. And thank you. Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you,
Enjoy the rest of
Jeremy.
the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.